When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite, obey your thirst.
So good, so good, so good.
New year, new gear. Thousands of fresh active styles are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. Save on top brands like Nike, Puma, and Free People, starting at just $35.
How did I not know Rack has Adidas?
There's always something new.
Plus, join the Nordy Club to shop new arrivals first, unlock exclusive discounts, and more. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
This is Optimal Living Daily. Will Retirement Be Depressing? By Fritz Gilbert of the retirementmanifesto.com. And I'm Justin Malik. Welcome back. This is the Sunday bonus episode where I share an extra episode from the Optimal Living Daily Network. And today's comes from Optimal Finance Daily. Please do subscribe to or follow Optimal Finance Daily wherever you're listening to this to keep all of this going. It really helps a lot. But for now, let's get right to the bonus episode and Diana's commentary as we optimize your life.
Will Retirement Be Depressing? By Fritz Gilbert of the retirementmanifesto.com. Over the past week, I've read several recent studies on depression in retirement. The findings are concerning. It turns out that depression in retirement is a surprisingly common problem, with one study citing that retirement increases the probability of depression by about 40%. Another cites the highest increase in suicides is among men age 50 and over. What are the causes of depression among retirees, and what can you do to increase the odds that your retirement will be a period of joy rather than a period of depression? What are the facts? I read an article last week entitled Men Vulnerable to Boredom and Depression in Retirement, which summarizes several recent surveys on depression in retirement. Intrigued and seeking fodder for my blog, I read each of the studies in detail. The studies included a 2012 study from UC Berkeley and a 2013 study from the Institute of Economic Affairs. I've also read a recent study from the Transamerica Center for Retirement Studies. Based on my readings, I've summarized the findings. Number 1, 60% of folks retire earlier than they planned, while just 16% were financially prepared to retire early. Number 2, adjustment to retirement appears to come in stages, with a 3 to 5 year honeymoon period of elation, followed by a steep reduction in well-being as the reality of retirement settles in, followed by a stable permanent phase. Number 3, the decision to retire and the outlook for post-retirement life is by definition an uncertain decision, given that the one making it has not yet experienced retirement. Once made, the decision is essentially irreversible. This reality is cited as a potential cause of higher depression among those who later regret the decision, yet are unable to reverse course. Number 4, for some, retirement enhances well-being via reduced stress, increased free time, and a milestone for a lifetime of achievement. Personal note, this is my goal for how I'd like to perceive life post-retirement. How about you? Number 5, for others, retirement diminishes well-being by reducing social contact and removing a large portion of one's identity. Number 6, in some studies, retirement has been shown to relate to lower physical health, expedited aging, to be associated with mental health problems, severe stress, and feelings of loneliness and obsolescence. These adverse effects increase as the number of years spent in retirement increases. Number 7, in other studies, some have found the experience of retirement to be positive, particularly for those who retire voluntarily. And number 8, the highest retirement satisfaction is in Denmark, Netherlands, and Switzerland. Lowest is Italy, Greece, and Poland. The USA falls on the higher end of average, but below the highest scoring countries. The bottom line. Clearly, some folks have a difficult time adjusting to retirement and suffer a lower state of well-being after retirement than during their working years. Others, however, experience the opposite and find retirement to be a positive experience with increased well-being. Unfortunately, a higher percentage of people fall into the first camp. The goal is to be intentional in your retirement planning years, with a focus on incorporating non-financial elements into your plan to maximize your odds of being in the group which enjoys retirement. How to achieve a happy retirement. In her book, Ready to Retire, Lindsay Green focuses on the psychological implications of retirement. The book is based on interviews with folks from age 56 to 88 and focuses on the adjustment, revitalization, and reinvention of retirement. She finds that men most closely tied to their work identity tend to have the most difficult time making the retirement adjustment and often have deeply rooted fears about leaving the working world. Conversely, she learned that the key to a happier retirement was having multiple selves, which means hobbies and other activities to keep them busy. Another key coping mechanism was to admit the workplace is going to move on without them. In an interesting dichotomy, men who are strongly connected to work seem to be the most likely to struggle in retirement, while men who aren't as connected to work do a better job of adjusting into a life of well-being after retirement. This reality is summarized well in this quote from Dr. Ken LeClaire, co-chairman of the Canadian Coalition on Seniors' Mental Health. Quote, "The best thing that can happen to someone before they retire is that they hate their job at the end. Those that have loved it and are restructured out or pushed out have a harder time. If I had a recipe for a good retirement, it would be to have a bad job in the last 3 working years." End quote. In reality, we can't always choose to hate our job at the end, nor should we. And I find it a bit of a negative approach to your final working years. Rather than choose to hate your job, I believe the transition can be enhanced by a strong focus on achieving balance in your life before retirement, intentionally accelerating your development of external interests in your final 3 to 5 years of work, striving to find other areas in your life to develop and ramp these up as you approach retirement, developing alternative means to develop the socialization and self-esteem that work brings and begin that development as part of your retirement planning, and beginning to populate a bucket list of items you'd like to do in retirement. Broaden it to include categories beyond travel. Stretch yourself. This is the mindset that I've adopted, and it's why I've started this blog. It's also why I just purchased a book on ham radio operation. It's why I volunteer at charities. I'm also considering joining an organization in our ultimate retirement location, which does voluntary maintenance on a major hiking trail in the area. Find things that interest you and begin building a base of hobbies and relationships. I like this quote from French philosopher Michel de Montaigne about Socrates. It's appropriate and a fitting way to conclude this article. There's nothing more noble in Socrates than that he found time while he was an old man to learn music and dancing and thought it was time well spent. You just listened to the post titled, "Will Retirement Be Depressing?" by Fritz Gilbert of the retirementmanifesto.com.
This message may be shocking to many millennials. If you are one, you might want to sit down. Right now, loads of people are searching the following on Depop: low-rise jeans, halter top, velour tracksuit, puka shell necklace, disc belt. You likely placed these in the dark of your closet in 2004, never to be seen again. But if you can find it in yourself to dust them off, there are a lot of people who will give you money for them. Sell on Depop, where taste recognizes taste.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast? Smart move. Being financially savvy? Smart move. Another smart move? Having State Farm help you create a competitive price when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
The stats around depression and retirement don't surprise me. Our individualistic culture really glorifies work, and it's where many of us find a sense of self and even self-worth. Most of the time when we meet someone new, they ask us what we do. Work is one of the main ways we find community and relate to other people. So taking this away can cause an identity crisis and be really disorienting. As much as we think we would be happier not working, I think many of us overlook the role that work plays in our lives. I was first confronted with how much my job played a role in my identity when I walked the Camino for 2 months. For those not familiar, this is a 500-mile trek across northern Spain, and I took a sabbatical from work in 2017 to do it. It was an unpaid sabbatical, and I was completely inaccessible to my employer, so it really gave me a chance to unplug. What was interesting to me is that no one on the trail asked me about my job. Most people I met wanted to talk about the deeper questions of life. On that trip, I got to see a side of myself that was independent of my career ambitions, and it was eye-opening. It definitely expanded my perception of myself and helped me get in tune with ambitions beyond work. Walking 500 miles across the country was pretty ambitious after all, and it had nothing to do with my career at the time. I highly recommend giving yourself experiences that can remind you that there's more to life than work. That'll do it for today and another installment of Optimal Finance Daily. Have a happy Thursday. Thank you for being here every day and listening, and I'll see you on the Friday show tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.